listening to the IELTS podcast. Learn from tutors and ex-examiners who are masters of IELTS preparation. Your host, Ben Worthington.
Hello there, IELTS podcast listeners. In this episode, we're going to look at speaking confidence. And this is seriously important because it's an easy way to boost your score. Okay, I'll just give you an outline of what we're going to do. First, I'll mention some of the exam skills and some of the non-specific exam skills. Because, like the writing, there's two sets of skills you need. Those which are entirely unique to the exam, and the other skills, which are often language skills, or in this case more psychological ones. And these second parts are the ones you need to boost your score. You need both of them. You need to have both parts of these skills totally under control. Right, first of all, I'll look at the exam skills that you'll need to pass the speaking. And I mean, one of the biggest issues that I know students have, especially with the speaking, with the confidence, okay? And I see this all the time, and you've probably heard me talk about it before, that when I talk to a student, we're having a conversation, maybe we're talking about football, or maybe we're talking about their specific field, which might be engineering. In these cases, the speaking level is incredibly high. I think personally because one, they know the topic, they know the vocabulary, they're confident about speaking about it. Or secondly, for example, if I'm talking to a student about football, once again, they'll know the topic and they'll enjoy it, and therefore they're going to be more focused on the actual content that they're sharing or explaining rather than the actual delivery and the quality of the delivery. Okay, and by doing that, this enables them to come across as a much higher level. Okay, now the problem with the speaking is that you cannot choose the topic, and you're probably not going to be that enthusiastic about it. Okay, there's an interview a long time ago with a student who said, this stupid examiner just kept on asking me about music and the importance of music for children and all this, and he was getting really frustrated, and that's perfectly normal. Okay, my tip there is just to deal with it and pretend that you love it, and hopefully in that situation you will come across as more confident if you're talking about something that you like. Now, let's just have a look at some of the issues that could cause you, that could have a negative effect on your confidence. One might be that you may not be able to understand the examiner's question. Maybe they're from Scotland or from Ireland or from a part of Australia, and maybe they've got an accent that you don't know. So that could be one situation that might affect your confidence. You didn't understand the question entirely. Okay. Another issue might be the lack of knowledge about the topic the examiner is asking you about, like we just touched on before. Another issue might be that you don't know how to talk for 2 minutes on a topic. Okay. Maybe you don't know how to organize or structure your presentation, and this is amplified. The problem with this is amplified, especially if you're not interested in that subject. Okay. Now, there's another issue. You might be completely unfamiliar with the exam, i.e., you don't know what's coming next. And now, let me just give you an example. Okay, you can read about the exam format and you can have it present in your mind that first they're going to ask you questions about where you're from, your city, blah, blah, blah. Then they're going to ask you to do a 2-minute presentation. But there is a big difference between being aware and knowing and then experiencing it. Okay? It's two completely different feelings or areas of competence. Okay, so the only way you're going to get completely familiar and truly familiar with this 2-minute presentation and transforming it from sort of like just being aware of it and into actually experiencing it, the only way you can do that is by actually doing it. Okay, now in this episode we're going to focus mainly on the non-specific exam skills. If you want to get all those exam specific issues that I just mentioned, if you want to get all of those done, have a look at the IELTS Speaking Confidence course at the website. Okay, and there's detailed modules for each of those problems. Okay, now what I'm going to focus on about in this episode is how you can boost your confidence. Okay, this is more of like it is exam related, but it's not specifically related to the IELTS exam. This is more about boosting your confidence and how you can boost it in more general terms. And do not overlook this. This is incredibly important, okay? Because although getting completely familiar with the exam specific skills will undoubtedly boost your confidence, you also need to get your other issues sorted out. Okay, it's like the difference between an athlete who is very sporty, okay, and very fit and can maybe do the marathon, and then getting skills specifically for running a certain type of marathon. Okay, maybe they have to change the length of the pace, maybe they have to change the rhythm in that they run. Okay, so those would be the exam specific skills in this case, and then the general ones are the fitness. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to communicate there. Now then, one of the biggest issues that you're going to face with boosting your confidence, okay, is listening to that negative voice that you have in your head. Okay, and this takes a lot of work to try and get under control. Okay, and this is the negative voice, and this is called your negative self-talk. Okay, and this is your own sort of like psyche talking with you, and it's the one that criticizes you when you make a mistake, and it might say inside your head, it might say, "Oh, you imbecile, you stupid idiot, why did you have to ask that question? It's obvious." Yeah, and this is probably one of the biggest components that's harming your confidence. So one of the first steps to get complete control of this, okay, there's a few different methods that I'm going to mention, but first of all right, you need to start moving away from negative people. Okay, and this might be more easier said than done, but if the negative people around you might be your parents, then of course you cannot just completely remove them from your life, but you can reduce the amount of time that you spend with them. Okay, but in most cases, say if it's a friend, I've done this before, I've just deleted friends from my sort of like list and always rejected them whenever they wanted to meet. Okay, and instead I just went out looking for new friends. But you have to choose them, okay, because they do influence you drastically. All right, so get around people who always sort of like criticize and have always got that negative outlook on life. Okay, now another thing, when you hear that self-talk, you need to recognize it, okay, and try and replace it with more positive types of speaking. Okay, and this is really important because nobody will do this for you. Nobody can do it for you. It's up to you to just recognize it and then try and change it for something that's more positive. And you have to do this. You have to be your own champion, because nobody can do it for you. I'm going to give you some techniques that help you replace this negative self-talk, and then hopefully you'll implement some of these techniques and you'll see some big improvements. All right, now then, the first one, okay, and I've used some of these, okay, because there was a time when I was very when I didn't have hardly any confidence, okay, and these techniques, they do work. All right, they may sound a little bit woo-woo, that means like hippie, like a hippie and stuff, but trust me, especially the one about visualization, and I'll go into that a little bit later, but the visualization one, this is used by practically all the top athletes, okay? So this stuff clearly works. Now then, let's get into the detail, let's get into the nitty-gritty. So the first technique I wanted to share with you is, first we're going to deal with this negative self-talk, and the technique I want you to implement here is that I want you to identify where and when you start criticizing yourself. Identify when and where you do this, okay, and then write it down, okay, so you can start catching it, because it's very tricky, okay? You might not even be aware that you have this conversation inside your head. So you need to start catching it and then changing it. So you identify where and when. And then the second step, okay, that I want you to take is, I want you to take small steps to acting like a more confident person. Now, the first one will be to start talking louder. For some reason, I think it's to do with evolution, but the louder you talk, the more confident you demonstrate yourself, okay? And you only have to look in nature to see that this is completely true, okay? So you start talking louder, all right? And this will make you, there's a few advantages, especially in the exam. It'll make you easier to be understood, okay? All right? And secondly, you're going to, well, if it's easy to be understood, then you're going to see that the examiner understands you, and that's going to help you, okay? That's going to boost your confidence. You're going to get into that positive feedback cycle. Another thing to do is to talk a little bit slower. This is another thing that's going to, not only in the exam room, because by talking slower, you're making it easier to be understood, but also outside of the exam room, people are going to start understanding you more, okay? So, and this will also boost your confidence. If you see yourself having success when you speak in English, then that's going to boost your confidence as well, okay? Now, the third step that I want you to do, when I was talking about speaking louder, I want you to do this not only in the exam room, but with your friends, when you go to the shops. And even when you go to the shops, what you could do is just try extending the interaction a little bit longer than you normally would. Okay, for example, you go to the supermarket and they just say hi, you say hi, and then they say, do you want a bag or something like that? Okay, maybe you could start off with saying, excuse me, how much would a bag cost? Or, I don't know, or, excuse me, could you tell me what time you closed this afternoon? Or what, are you open on Sundays? Or just something like that, okay? And then taking smaller steps like that and increasing the opportunity of interactions, okay, you're slowly going to get more comfortable with using your English, okay? So that's one step. Now, another step is that you could try and think of somebody who is confident, somebody who's probably in your circle of friends and who's a little bit more confident than other people. And then what you do is try and identify what makes them confident. Is it because of their body language? Is it the way they carry themselves? Is it the way they talk? Is it the volume at which they talk at? And try and identify the key characteristics that make them confident, and then model them. Okay, there's this famous term which is called "fake it until you make it," and this is similar. What you do is you just act like they do, okay, until it becomes a part of you, and then you start acting like they do, and then because you're acting like them, you will be confident, and then with time you can start adapting it and integrating it into your own personality a little bit more coherently. Okay, now another step that you should that's really valuable, okay, and this one I got from actualized.org, which has like about a 60-minute video all about confidence, okay? And he goes into more detail in this, but the key thing that he recommends is saying the affirmation, which is just like a small phrase that you want to incorporate into your belief system. And it's just a small phrase that says, "I love being confident." And he recommends repeating this non-stop for 2 minutes every single morning. Okay, I do different affirmations. Okay, I just have a list that I try to repeat every single day. Okay, but this one seems more focused, and I think I might give it a try with something that I want to do personally. So, why not? You've got nothing. There's nothing to lose. Okay. Now, that's his style of doing affirmations. Okay, so 2 minutes in the morning before you go to sleep, non-stop, of just saying, I love being confident. I'm a confident person. And okay, actually no, you just say, I love being confident, say non-stop for 2 minutes. Okay, and you say it so often that the idea is it starts to manifest itself into your beliefs. Okay, now then, he recommends doing it in the mornings and then in the evenings before going to sleep. Another technique you can do is, you can also amplify that, and you can do it maybe 3 or 4 times a day. But the key thing here, and I know from personal experience, is consistency. Do it for at least 21 days. Otherwise, you're not going to see any of the benefits. All right. Now, the same goes for visualization. And with visualization, what you have to do is visualize yourself in situations in the past where you've been nervous, and visualize yourself being confident and acting like a confident person would. Okay. Now, the key thing here, and the beauty of this technique, is that you can visualize yourself with the examiner, okay, and you can visualize yourself in the exam room talking, smiling, in a confident posture, okay, with your back straight, you're sitting up, you're smiling, and what you try and do is you try and paint a picture of you having tremendous success in that exam environment. Okay, so I'll say it again. You're sitting there, you're answering all the questions really well. You're giving full, complete answers. Your body language speaks confidence. You're smiling, you're understanding all the questions, and you're replying. And of course, the exam's going really smooth, and afterward, and you're very polite all the way through it, and it's just going really well. Okay, and afterwards you walk out of the exam room and you feel that sense of pride, and you're really extremely happy because you know you gave it your best shot. Okay, now that's the kind of image and mental movie you want to be practicing day in, day out, before sleeping and when you wake up. And doing that for 21 days, trust me, you will see a big difference in the exam room. And you may be thinking, hey, how is that going to get rid of any grammatical errors? Well, I'll tell you, because like I said at the beginning, if you're feeling confident and you're acting confident, then most of the resources of your brain are going to be freed up, and they're just going to be flowing, okay? Whereas if you're nervous, you're going to be thinking, oh, what did I just say then? Why did I just say that? Oh, what is he saying? I don't understand. Why is he looking at me like this? Does he hate me? You know? And if you're not thinking about that and you're just completely confident, you're calm, and this allows you more mental energy to focus on the question, so it's just more likely to go, it's just more likely to flow. Your speaking is going to flow, your exam's going to just breeze through, it's not going to be a stressful struggle, okay? And that is the exact outcome that we want, okay? So that's just a very brief overview, okay, of the techniques you can do. And those were more, I mean, some of them were exam focused, but they were more on a general scale, on a general side, because it is important, the general side. A lot of students do overlook it, but it is tremendously important. But so work on those. But if you also are really worried about your exam skills, your specific exam skills, and you want to get used to listening to an examiner, if you want to get used to identifying and understanding different accents, and if you want to get used to the format, not just reading about it, but actually get used to answering questions and getting used to pacing your time, then go over to IELTSPodcast.com and have a look at the IELTS Speaking Confidence course, and there you can have a look at the modules and see that that's probably going to help you take care of the exam skills, okay? And the general side is more up to you. And I think the biggest key here is the discipline of applying those affirmations, the visualizations, and the modeling that we just spoke about, applying them for at least 21 days. Okay? Now then, if you want some more videos and some more help and some more advice and tips, not just for the speaking, but also for the reading and writing and the listening, then have a look at IELTSPodcast.com. Go and sign up there, and trust me, you'll be very surprised and very happy that you did sign up. And another thing, if you are enjoying these podcasts, please, I'd love it if you gave me a 5-star review in iTunes, okay? Righty then, all the best and good luck in your exam.
Thanks for listening to IELTSPodcast.com.